promises, promises, promises. When you hear that, does it stir something within you? Does it stir something good? I don't know. For some of us, we've had good experiences of promises, haven't we? Promises like Cam talking about in the kids' talk, when we've been promised something at Christmas time and on Christmas Day we get it. That's a good promise, isn't it? A promise fulfilled. For me, when I was writing this, I was thinking of the promise that Mary and I made on our wedding day, the promise that's been lived out every day since. That's a good promise. But for some of us, promises might trigger some negative energy as we remember the times where people have made promises to us that have been broken, made commitments or said that they would do something and that has not been fulfilled. And that can be hurtful. It can bring that sense of broken trust. Broken promises can make us feel jaded or sceptical, or if a politician makes a promise, do we believe them? Why not? Because too many times we've seen politicians say something and it hasn't been filled. And so now we don't even believe that politicians will keep their promises. If we travel back to the Old Testament, as I said, one last time we go back there, we're going to look at this passage, as Cam said, between 600 to 700 years before Jesus was born. And it was not a good time. As Kevin talked about last week, it was actually a pretty dark time in the Hebrew history. The northern kingdom had been defeated. Babylon was sitting on the border, basically breathing down the necks of the southern kingdom, ready to attack. And this is the situation that Isaiah was writing in. And people were a bit frustrated because they had prophets in the past sort of go, oh, things will be okay, things will be okay. And things weren't okay. Things weren't going well. And so they were a bit jaded as well, a bit sceptical of any prophets or promises that were being made. And into this bleakness, Isaiah steps up and shares a promise from God and says this: the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. What is Isaiah saying? God is doing a new thing. Does that sound familiar? That God is doing a new thing. We talked about it a few weeks ago. God has not given up. It might be dark at the moment, but God is doing a new thing. And so we've got this passage from Isaiah that talks about that a light is coming. Is this a promise that we can believe in? Is this a promise like a politician that, we don't think will happen? How do we respond to a promise like this? I just got to jump to the side for a moment and just talk a little bit about, I actually just want to confirm that yes, it is a promise that we can believe in, but there's an interesting literary device that's happening here. Have you noticed the tense that this sentence is written in? The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. It's written in the past tense, as if it's already happened. It's not the people walking in darkness will see a great light. On those living in the land, a light will dawn, which makes more sense because, Isaiah is clearly talking about something to come, and yet is written it in the past tense as something that has already happened. It's almost like going, I am so sure of this promise that I can write it in a way that expresses it's already happened because it's so trustworthy. It is so true that I can write it in that tense. Anyway, let's go back to Isaiah's time. As the people heard this promise, it would have been something that stirred the emotions. In the midst of the dark and difficult time, if you've got someone going, God is doing a new thing, that God has not forgotten yet, that God has not given up. The light is coming. A dawn is happening. God is at work. It would have stirred up the emotions. You would have wanted to believe in that. You would have wanted to go, yes, please, let's do this. I wonder, as we move through the Advent season, whether we are open to having our hearts stirred this Advent. Are we caught up in the wonder and the anticipation of this season? Or are we just going through the motions, waiting for it to be over again so that we can have that time of relaxation that happens after Christmas? This year at our church, we do have a bit of a theme that we're working on for Christmas. Do you know what it is yet? I obviously haven't been advertising that enough, have I? It's the Spirit of Christmas. It's literally sitting on the side of our church at the moment. If you go out there, you'll see the big banners that say the Spirit of Christmas. It's set by the young adults who write the Christmas play. They come up with their theme for the Christmas play, and then Kevin and I have to then go, well, how did we shape the rest of Advent and around this theme? But I actually think it's a good theme, the Spirit of Christmas. How we might experience the spirit of Christmas that God is stirring up within us and within our community and with our larger local community this Christmas. It actually comes, the Christmas play this year is loosely based upon an idea from a movie called Elf. Have you ever seen Elf? Oh, do yourself a favour, go and watch it. It is good. And I think it's good just because it stirs something within you. But the idea in Elf is that there is an elf who's trying to recapture the spirit of Christmas. And in the particular way that he's trying to find it is this idea that the spirit of Christmas can be stirred up through singing. And so there's this line, the best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing aloud for everyone to hear. And so it's all about if we sing loud enough, we will recapture the Christmas spirit. And so you can see where the Christmas play is going. We're going back to doing the musicals with the big song numbers where there'll be lots of singing and dancing. But do they find the Christmas spirit in the singing? Well, I'm not going to spoil the punchline, but I think we all know where they find the Christmas spirit, don't you? But I don't think Buddy's completely wrong in the way that he is approaching this, because there is something about music that can stir our souls, isn't there? There is something about songs and music that can tap deep within us. And I think that there's something particular about Christmas music that can not only stir our emotions, but can connect us deeply into what Christmas has been in the past for us and what Christmas might be now. Music and songs have an amazing way to tap into that deep emotions within us. They can trigger memories or connect us back to God, which is why we sing in church, isn't it? Because it is a helpful thing to connect us. And Christmas music is very powerful. I don't know, have you had that experience if you hear a carol, it just takes you back to a moment? Or a piece of Christmas music and it fills you with nostalgia and reminds you of a time when, childhood Christmas magic was real. Do you have a Christmas song that does for you? I'm feeling everyone's a bit flat today. So I'm actually going to get you to turn to the people next to you and say, come on, what is it? What's a Christmas song that does it for you? What's a Christmas song that takes you back to the magic of a childhood Christmas? Is there a carol or song that triggers those memories that make you smile? What is it for you? What's your Christmas songs that tap deep into your soul? Go talk to the people around you. Let's get a bit of energy in this room. I just accidentally pulled it out. If that was easy for you, talk to Dave, because he's looking for a few people who want to write a short reflection of basically what you just said, and so that he can post it each day on our Facebook community page. But I don't know, I'd love to hear your stories later. I'm going to share two of mine now that deeply moved me, pieces of Christmas music. For the past 20 years, partly because I've been a minister and I can slightly manipulate how things work, for the last 20 years on Christmas Eve, the last song that has been sung has been, for me, Silent Night. And I don't know, whenever I hear that song, it takes me back to that moment. I don't know if you remember this moment that happened about 5 years ago, but I don't know, at the moment that song takes me back to that moment when Jesus' name was lit up in light and we were singing, and I don't know, I felt the Christmas spirit. Actually, I feel it every time we do that on Christmas Eve. There is something about that moment that is deeply, deeply meaningful for me. And it's based in music. And as I said, every time I hear that song, it happens for me. It also happens for me Christmas Day, when we sing O Come All Ye Faithful on Christmas Day. I can sing that song. We're singing it today in the carols and lessons, and it's nice. Sing it on Christmas morning, and there's something extraordinary about it. It touches me deep within. What's that about? It's this sense of tapping into the Christmas spirit. There is something that the music is opening up a door that we can step through and experience Christmas in a richer and deeper way. And it's not just the music. Sometimes a Christmas song might just have some words that connect with us or stir our emotions. I've talked about this before, but I actually think O Holy Night is one of the most profound Christmas songs that has been ever written. And there's something in those words that are just so rich and real and touch me every time I read them out, which I'm just about to do now. So, O holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Saviour's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining until he appeared and the soul felt its worth. Is that doing something for you? You know, a thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angels' voices. O night divine, O night when Christ was born. There's something in that when you read it, it does touch deep within you, and you go, yes, yes. When Jesus comes to us in Emmanuel's, our soul does find its worth. There is something about the Christmas spirit being stirred when you see something like that. And I think it would have been the same for the Hebrew people back in Isaiah's time, when they heard those words that Isaiah was reading out to them. After all the violence and the wars and the threats of war, could they find peace? Could they have hope again? Could they live in a time of peace and safety again? Could they find the help that they so desperately need? What would their hearts have been when Isaiah said, the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. Those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has formed. For unto us a child is born, for unto us a son is given. And the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counsellor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. What a promise. Is this a promise we can believe in? Yes, because the last line of that Bible reading was, the zeal of the Lord will accomplish this, which is an intriguing line that I wish I could spend more time on, but I'm just going to brush over it. But yes, God makes this happen. And we live after the fact now and can look back and go, yes, God did make this happen. But this promise that was given 600 years before Jesus' birth to the Hebrew people of Isaiah's time is still given to us today. God's giving us this promise because to us, this Christmas, whatever this season is like for you, a child has been born. To you, a child is given. And if we open ourselves up this Advent, if we allow our hearts to be stirred and come to the manger this Christmas, we too might receive that amazing gift, the wonderful counsellor, the mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. As we journey close to Christmas, be open to being stirred by the spirit of Christmas. Be open, make those opportunities, listen to some music, engage deeply, let your spirit be stirred as we hold on, as we take again anew that gift of Jesus. We're going to do this through communion this morning. I know communion is supposed to be more about Easter than Christmas, and I actually do like the symbolism of the cross sort of like peeking over the top of the stable there, sort of like going, yeah, I'm still part of the story. Christmas has got enough in the story that we don't need to focus too much on the cross, but it is intertwined. And so as we come to communion today, as we eat the bread and as we drink from the cup and remember what Jesus has done for us, it's not only remembering his death and resurrection, but also his birth and what that meant. That God wanted to be close to us. And in that desperation and wanting to connect with us, didn't wait for us to try and get to God, but God comes to us in Jesus. Let's prepare to have communion. We're going to sing a song. As we do that, we're going to take up our offering as well. At the end of the song, Ian's going to come. Is it Ian? Yes. And lead us in prayer, and then we'll share together in communion. Let's prepare.